Hare Krishna, everyone. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam
Narayanam
Namaskritya
Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram
Naram
Chaiva
Chaiva
Narottamam
Narottamam
Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim
Devim
Saraswatim
Saraswatim
Vyasam
Vyasam
Jayamudiraye
Tato
Tato
Jayam
Tato Jayam
Udire
Udire
Srinvatam Swakatah Krishna
Shrinvatam
Shrivatam
Krishna
Krishna
Shravana Kirtana
Punyam
Punya
Paramana
Shravana
Kirtana
Kirtana
Vantasto Hiya Bhadrani
Hrihe
Hridayantasto Hi Bhadrani
Bhadrani
Te Sahrit Satam
Vidhunoti
Vinoti
Sukratam
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 Ashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu
Nashprayesha
Bhadreshu
Bhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam
Nityam
Bhagavata
Bhagavata
Sevaya
Sevaya
Sri Uttama Shloke
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Uttama
Uttama
Shloke
Shloke
Bhavati Naishtiki
Bhaktir
Bhaktir
Bhagavate
Bhavati
Naistaki
Naistiki
Krishnaaya Vasudevaya
Krishnaya
Jaya
Vasudevaya
Vasudevaya
Devaki Nandanaya Cha
Devaki
Devaki
Nandana
Nandanaya Cha
Kumaraya
Nandagopakumaraya
Raya
Jaya Namo Namaha
Govindaya Namo
Jaya Namo Namaha.
Hare Krishna. We are discussing this fourth chapter, process of creation. So here, Suta Goswami is explaining what is happening next, and primarily Parikshit Maharaj is preparing himself to ask the next set of questions, and he concentrates his mind and asks the question about creation. So that we'll see from 11th verse. We covered up to 10th verse. So he asked the question as well about Sarga and Asarga, primary creation and secondary creation. Primary creation that is done by three forms of Vishnu, and secondary creation by Brahma. So before answering Sukadeva Goswami's question, Parikshit Maharaj's question, Sukadeva Goswami prays to the Supreme Lord so that he is empowered to answer the questions. So that is this section now. Yeah, so here are the questions, Sarga and Visarga. So now we'll read this 11th verse onwards. Suta Vacha
Sutta Vacha
Iti Upamantrito Rajna
Ityupa Mantrito
Upamantrito
Radnya
Gunanupatane Hare
Gunanukatane Hare
Hare
Rishikesham Anasmritya
Rishikesham
Rishikesham
Anusmritya
Anusmatya
Ativaktum Prachakrame.
Prativaktam
Prativaktam
Prachakrame.
Prachakrame.
Yeah, please read translation.
Sutta Goswami said, when Shukadev Goswami was thus requested by the king to describe the creative nature, a creative energy of the personality of Godhead, he then systematically remembered the master of senses, Sri Krishna, and to reply properly, he spoke thus.
So this is how great devotees respond. They don't immediately answer. First, they depend on Krishna so that whatever they speak are the words of Krishna. So specifically, here we see the words Hrishikesha Anusmritya. Anusmritya means Smritya means remembering. Anusmritya means to remember properly. Hrishikesham, and he was remembering Hrishikesha. Hrishikesha is the master of senses. Because when Sukadeva Goswami is going to speak, he wants the master of the senses to take over the senses and speak appropriate answer so that Parikshit Maharaj's questions are answered correctly. He could have, could be many other forms he could have remembered. Rishikesham is the form he remembers so that he does the proper justice to the question asked.
The devotees of the Lord, while delivering speeches and describing the transcendental attributes of the Lord, do not think that they can do anything independently. They think that they can speak only what they are induced to speak by the Supreme Lord, the master of the senses. The senses of the individual being are not his own. The devotees knows that such senses belongs to the Supreme Lord and that they can properly used when they are employed for the service of the Lord. The senses are instruments and the elements and elements are ingredients and all endowed by the Lord. Therefore, whatever an individual can do, speak, see, etc., is under the direction of the Lord only.
What
Amazing.
individual can do, speak, is under the direction of the Lord only. So because senses are given by the Lord, they should be properly engaged in the service of the Lord. That is the right use of the senses. Yeah. So here you can read Prabhupada. Continue, actually, this is a good one.
Bhagavad Gita 15.15 confirms Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto mata smriti gyanam apohanam cha vedesya sarvers ahame vede vedanta krudve videho chaham. No one is free to act freely and independently. And as such, one should always seek the permission of the Lord to act or eat or speak. And by the blessings of the Lord, everything done by a devotee is beyond the principles of four defects typical of the conditional soul.
When we act in this prayerful mode for the service of the Lord, such actions will be free from the four defects. So we act above the sensory defects. So that becomes perfect, absolute. Yeah. Sri Shuka Uvacha
Sri Shukha Uvacha
Namah Parasmai Purushasya Bhuyase
Nama Purasmai Purushaya Bhuyase
Bhavastana Nirodha Leelaya
Leelaya
Vihita Shakti Tritayaya Devinam
Gruhita Shakti Tripaya Dehinam
Bhavai Bhavan Antar Bhavaya Napakalsha Vartmani
Antarbhavayanu Kalpalaksharvatmane.
Vartmani.
Vartmani. Please read.
Sukadev Goswami said, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who, for the creation of the material world, accepts the three modes of nature. He is the complete whole residing within the body of everyone, and his ways are inconceivable."
So this is one line answer about creation. Supreme Lord for the creation of the material world accepts the three modes of material nature. Accepts means he controls the three gunas. Maya Jakshena Prakriti Suyateva Sarasaram. Maya Jakshan, he is the controller of the Prakriti. Under the modes of nature, the creation works. He is not directly responsible for creation. Material nature, Durga, acts under the will. That's what is said in Brahma Samhita also.
Yeah. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. This material world is a manifestation of the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, and the Supreme Lord for the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the world accepts three predominating forms as Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankara, Shiva. As Vishnu, he enters into every body materially created. As Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, he enters into every universe. And as Shirodakshaya Vishnu, he enters the body of every living being. Lord Sri Krishna, being the origin of all Vishnu Tattvas, is addressed here as Parapuman or Purushottama, as described in the Bhagavad Gita 15.18.
So here, the Lord, so Dehinam Antar Bhavaya. So Dehinam, so there are three levels of Deha. One is the Jiva, which is the lowest, which is Kshirodakshaya Vishnu enters the body of Jiva. So he is the soul of the living entities. And then the next one is the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is the soul of the body, the living entities. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Dehinam Antarbhavaya, there it means Lord enters as the soul of the universe. In every universe, there is one Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Without his presence, the universe collapses. It doesn't exist. So he enters each universe as the soul of the universe, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And for the entire material existence and creation, Karanodakshaya Vishnu, from whose body all these material universes manifest, he is the soul of the cosmic manifestation, the material cosmic manifestation. So he is the soul of entire manifestation. So in this way, they are the Dehinam, they are the ones, the controller of those three levels of bodies. And Lord Krishna, who is the origin of all the Vishnu Tattvas, especially Purushavataras, is also known as Parahuma, or the Supreme Purusha, or Purushottama. Yeah. Any questions? Bhuyo Namah Sadvrijinat Vijinachide Satam
Bhuyo
Namah
Chati
Sadvijinachide
Sambhavaya Kila Sattva-murtaye
Asambhavaya
Akila Sattva-murtaye
Pumsam Punah Paramahamsya Ashrame
Pumsam
Ashrame
Vastitanam Anumrigya Dasuse Please read.
I again offer my respectful obeisances unto the form of complete existence and transcendence, who is the liberator of the pious devotees from all distresses and the destroyer of the further advances in the atheistic temperament of the non-devotee demons. For the transcendentalists who are situated in the topmost spiritual perfection, he grants their specific destinations. Purport.
1 second. Yeah. So he is now, these are all various prayers by Sukadeva Goswami. So he says he is the liberator of the pious devotees from all distresses and destroyer of the further advances of the atheistic temperament of non-devotees. He stops the demons, he delivers the devotees and pious devotees, right? And for the transcendentalists, he grants them various destinations. So according to one's qualification, they will be getting various destinations.
Lord Sri Krishna is the complete form of all existence, both material and spiritual. Akhila means complete, or that which is not khila, inferior. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, there are two kinds of nature, Prakriti, namely the material nature and the spiritual nature, or the external and internal potencies of the Lord. The material nature is called apara or inferior, and the spiritual nature is called superior or transcendental. Therefore, the form of the Lord is not of the inferior material nature, his complete transcendence.
Lord's body is Akhila or transcendental, complete.
The impious and the non-devotees are against the principles of the Vedas, and so such persons are always hampered from making advances in their nefarious activities. Some of them who are specially favored by the Lord are killed by him personally, as in the cases of Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, and Kamsa, and thus such demons get salvation and are thereby checked from further progress in their demonic activities. Just like a kind father, either in his favor upon the devotees or his punishment of the demons, he is ever kind to everyone because he is complete existence for all individual existence.
Yeah. Even demons get liberation. So it will be a surprising factor, right? How those who have done such mistakes also get, of course, their impious activities are checked, but they also achieve liberation. So does this, does it mean those are special cases, those are not regular cases. One thing we should understand. And they achieve that because why? Anyone would like to answer? Why Kamsa achieved perfection or at least liberation?
Because he was killed by the Lord himself, right, in different times of, like Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, Kali Yuga, right, Treta Yuga.
Yeah. Those are very special jivas, and they were directly killed because they died through the hand of Krishna. They all achieved perfection. Even in the assembly of Kurukshetra, most of them died, looking at Krishna because they're just standing by the side of Krishna. They all achieved perfection, even though they could be on the side of demons or Kauravas. Still, they achieved perfection because seeing the Lord it makes them qualified to lose all the uh, all the negative karma, but they generally achieve only liberation. They don't achieve the destinations, spiritual destinations. They only get liberated, means they get relieved of the karmic baggage they have, right? And so there is account of karma becomes zero. So they are neutral platform, right? They're not in the spiritual because they haven't worked on developing love towards Lord. If they develop love for the Lord, then they achieve one of the spiritual destination, Vaikunthas or Goloka, but they haven't qualified themselves for that. So even the demons achieve liberation. What to speak of devotees, right? Those devotees who lovingly serve the Lord, they achieve one of the spiritual destinations granted for them by the Lord, based on their, based on what will the spiritual destination be decided? Based on what?
Based on their activities.
Based on their,
Karma.
no, not based on their karma, because this is attachment to the Lord in a specific way. What are the various rasas, right? It's called. Dasi rasa is when one is inclined to serve the Lord as servant. One who want to serve as his friend will achieve what? Sakya.
Sakya.
So in this way, all the various relations with the Lord are achieved based on one's inclination of service to the Lord. Because the demons did not develop that, they will only achieve liberation, mukti. So mukti is not such a great thing. Even the demons who fought the Lord can achieve, because they, for Kamsa specifically, you know why Kamsa got liberated? Or even, let me put it even worst case, right? Yeah, let's first talk about Kamsa. Kamsa, what was his
Because he got killed by Lord himself.
Yeah, Lord himself.
himself? But there is one more reason, as to why. Still, there is one qualification for him. He was remembering the Lord in fear, constant fear.
Here is one of the rasas. Right.
Yeah, it's a secondary rasa, but still.
Yes, rasa, right.
So he still remembered Lord in fear. Like every morning, every night, he was only thinking about Krishna only in fear. Oh, Krishna will come and kill me like this. I have to make some arrangements to stop him. I will send this demon. He was only thinking about what demon to send to the Lord. So in that whole process, he was remembering Lord in fear. So even if you remember Lord in fear, you are getting purified, because it's like a detergent, right? Wherever it is, it will clean. Because it came to your mind. The whole point of liberation is to cleanse your mind. Chitta Suddhi. Right? Cheto Darpana Marjanam. What we are doing as part of this, we are cleansing the mind, the mirror of the mind, so that we can see ourselves clearly as the soul. So even, Kamsa was cleansing his mind by remembering in fear. What about Shishupal? Even the worst case, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Shishupal remembered always thinking bad about Lord, how to offend him, right? So even that is also remembrance of Lord, even though in a very, very bad way. We should not enviously remembering Lord, right? Even that qualifies, because he was constantly remembering Lord, or he is like most envious of Lord Krishna ever existed in this existence. And because of his envious remembrance of Lord, he still got liberated. So the power of remembrance of Lord, Anusmara. So that is clear from this verses. Yeah. So achieving liberation is not such a big deal from all these, right? Because even the demons achieve it. So devotees would look for something better. Please read.
Since the Lord is very kind to everyone, the impersonalists who accept bhakti as the means of merging in the existence of the Lord in his impersonal Brahmajyoti are also avoided the desired destination. In the Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 11th verse, he has assured everyone, Ye yathamarim prapadyante.
According to the worship, one will achieve the destination.
According to Srila Viswanatha Chakravarti, there are two classes of Paramahamsas, namely the Brahmanandis, impersonalists, and the Premanandis, devotees. And both are avoided their desired destinations, although the Premanandis are more fortunate than the Brahmanandis, but both the Brahmanandis and the Premanandis are transcendentalists, and they have nothing to do with the inferior material nature full of the existential miseries of life.
So this is here, it is called Brahmanandi, impersonalist. These are not, there is one more category, Mayavadi. Mayavadi is different from impersonalist. So they are also like a category of impersonalist, but Mayavadis, they don't achieve any liberation. So what is the difference?
Mayavadis are atheists, you are saying, Prabhu? Or atheists are even different than Mayavadis?
Atheists are different, yeah. Atheists are somewhat better than Mayavadis. Mayavadi is the lowest.
Lowest.
And then impersonalist, and then devotees.
Yes.
So who is an impersonalist? Anyone like to answer?
So who is seeking liberation?
Shankaracharya, for example, he has a mood of the impersonalist, thinking about Brahman.
Thinking Krishna doesn't have a form.
Yeah.
No. not
that
want to merge in
Brahmavadis or
Brahma.
Brahmanandis or Brahmavadis, they know Krishna has a form. They accept Krishna's form. So those who don't accept Krishna as having form are called Mayavadis. Mayavadi is one who does not believe in the form of Lord.
does not believe in form the Bhagavad. Impersonalist is not the Mayavadis. You're
No.
saying impersonalist is Brahmavadis.
Yeah. So the difference is impersonalist.
Oh, I thought impersonalist was Mayavadis.
So see, there is both of them understand. Supreme Lord has this manifestation of, this Brahmajyoti or Parabrahman and the form of the Lord, right? As Vishnu Tattvas. However, these impersonalists or Brahmavadis or Brahmanandis, they are more attracted to the impersonal aspect of it, or the Brahman aspect of it.
Brahman aspect of it. Okay, that's a Shankaracharya.
They're attracted more. They accept the both exist, both are, and also they believe one is the origin of the other. What is the origin for them? The origin is Brahman. From Brahman, Lord Krishna emanates as a secondary uh, Lord or secondary Supreme, right? So both accept absolute truth as the form of the manifestation as the form of the Lord, as well as in the unmanifest form as Brahman, Supreme Brahman. But they believe that the Brahmajyoti is the origin of the forms of the forms of Lord, right? And so what is the origin that matters? That they have different faith, like what is the origin of what, right? If incarnations come out of the Brahman, they are either impersonalists or Brahmavadis. Mayavadi think when Lord comes with the body is material. Maya covers Lord. So they consider between the Parabrahman, and the incarnation, there is Maya, which is superior, that can even cover the Supreme Lord. Right? So that's why they are called offenders, because Maya is never superior to Supreme Lord. Right? Brahmavadis they accept both or the forms of the Lord or the forms of absolute truth. However, they are more attracted and they believe that is the origin, right? So the devotees accept both are transcendental, Brahmajyoti as well as the Supreme Lord, but they accept the Supreme Lord as the origin of Brahman. Brahmanohi pratishtaham, Krishna says. Right? From me comes the Brahman. Where there is a clear verse for that. For us, we have clear proof as well. Brahmanohi pratishtaham, which is the source of all pleasure. Shashvatasya. So, yeah, so that is the difference between. Is that clear? Any questions, Devi Radhika Mataji?
No, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Premanandis are more fortunate than Brahmanandis. But both are transcendental. That's a clear. Like Prabhupada didn't say, Maya, they are like offenders like that here. You see, they have nothing to do with the inferior material nature full of existence. For example, who are some Brahmavadis? Anyone remembers? Who later on became devotees, for example?
Shukadeva Goswami.
Sukadeva Goswami is one. And
Four Kumaras.
four Kumaras, yeah. So they are both Brahmavadis in the beginning, but by their good fortune, when they came in the association of the Lord, their devotion, their love for Krishna or Lord arose Narayana.
So, Prabhu, all the Asur Pravritti people are more Mayavadis than a Brahmavadi, or it
Yeah,
depends?
Asura means, yeah, mostly Mayavadi. They have, yeah.
So now, if you are saying they are Mayavadi, if I understand correctly, and then if Krishna kills them, then they still achieve liberation. Are they still like? But you mentioned that Mayavadi doesn't achieve liberation, so I'm trying to understand the difference between two.
Mayavadis, I haven't heard of a Mayavadi who was killed by Lord. Mayavadi, in the past, Mayavas didn't exist that much. They are Asuras, outright Asuras, who do not believe in the existence of Lord, like Hiranyakashipu.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, their philosophy not necessarily Mayavadi.
Mm-hmm.
They are like atheists.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So when they get the liberation, they go to Brahman, or they still come back on the material planets?
Anybody who hasn't developed loving devotion service to the Lord
Mhm.
will at most achieve material liberation uh, or relief from the modes of nature.
Okay, so once they come back, their account is neutral and they start again.
Yeah.
Krishna.
Because you cannot stay in neutral state forever, right?
Correct, correct. Then you start taking actions and
Some
reaction.
action you will perform and then get attached and then
Right.
want to engage. Everybody likes to be engaged, right? Jiva, nature of the soul is to serve, right? Dharma.
Right.
It has to be engaged. It cannot just stay in neutral forever. Yeah.
Mm,
It depends on what engagement they take, right? So if they're fortunate, they'll engage in devotion service, they're good. Because their account even doesn't have anything. If a Brahmavadi starts engaging in devotion service, then it's very easy. It's straight
Yes.
path to Krishna, right?
Yep, yep, yes. Bro.
Hmm.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So what is the verse in Bhagavad Gita that says, the state of non-karmic background is the real qualification for pure devotion service. There is one verse that says, when you are in the neutral state with no karmic background, or
Mm.
you're completely liberated from all karma, that is when your true devotion service begins.
Mm.
Yesham tva antagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam te dvanda moha nirmukto bhajante mam jadavrataha. Yeah. So Yesham tva antagatam papam means the soul that has been relieved of all antagatam papam. So their papa is completely relieved of.
Mhm.
Such jiva can perform devotion service. Dradavratam means like a fixed up.
Fixed.
That corresponds to directly what bhakti? Nishta.
Nishta.
Nishta in the levels of bhakti, right?
Yes.
Nishta, Ruchi, Bhava, Prema. So they are very easy to achieve, get to Bhava level. Bhava is when you experience direct relation with Lord. Nishta is at a very high stage where one is fully fixed up in devotional service, right?
Karma.
Unwavering. Yeah. Namo namaste swa rishabhaya satyatame.
Namo
Namo
namaste
namaste
Rushabhaya Satvatam.
maybe.
Vidhurakasthaya muhu kuyoginam.
Vidurkasthaya mukto yoginam.
Nirasta samyatishayena radhasa.
Nidastasamyatishaena sadasa.
Mani brahmani ramsate namaha.
Vadhamani
Brahmane
Namaste Namah.
Namah.
Please read. Yeah, anybody?
Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, who is the associate of the members of Yadu dynasty and who is always a problem for the non-devotees. He is the supreme enjoyer of both the material and spiritual worlds, yet he enjoys his own abode in the spiritual sky. There is no one equal to him because his transcendental opulence is immeasurable.
This is direct glorification of the Supreme Lord. He is considered as always a problem for non-devotees. Yeah. And
But-
enjoyer of both material and spiritual world. He is the enjoyer even in this world. Because he is the proprietor of everything, right? But he himself enjoys in his own abode in the spiritual sky. Yeah, please read, Prabhu.
But there are two sides of the transcendental manifestations of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. For the pure devotees, he is a constant companion, as in the case of his becoming one of the family members of the Yadu dynasty, or his becoming the friend of Arjuna, or his becoming the associate neighbor of the inhabitants of Vrindavana, as the son of Nanda Yashoda, the friend of Sudama, Sridama, and Madhumangala, or the lover of the damsels of the Vrajabhumi, etc. This is part of his personal features, and by his impersonal feature, he expands the rays of the Brahmajyoti, which is limitless and all pervasive. Part of this all pervasive Brahmajyoti, which is compared to the sun rays, is covered by the darkness of the Mahatattva, and this insignificant part is known as the material world. In this material world, there are innumerable universes like the one we can experience, and in each of them, there are hundreds of thousands of planets like the one we are inhabiting. The mundaners are more or less captivated by the unlimited expansion of the rays of the Lord, but the devotees are concerned more with his personal form from which everything is emanating. Janmadyasya yataha. As the sun rays are concentrated in the sun disk, the Brahmajyoti is concentrated in Goloka Vrindavana, the topmost spiritual planet in the spiritual sky. The immeasurable spiritual sky is full of spiritual planets named Vaikunthas, far beyond the material sky. The mundaners have insufficient information of even the mundane sky, so what can they think of the spiritual sky? Therefore, the mundaners are always far, far away from him. Even if in the future they are able to manufacture some machine whose speed may be accelerated to the velocity of the wind or mind, the mundaners will still be unable to imagine reaching the planets in the spiritual sky. So the Lord and his residential abode will always remain a myth or mysterious problem. But for the devotees, the Lord will always be available as an associate. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, this is the description of the spiritual planets of the Lord, where Lord resides in various forms and devotees are engaged in, as an associate in various services to please the Supreme Lord. Yeah. This is another very nice verse. Yat kirtanam yat smaranam yadikshanam yat vandanam yat chavanam yadahanam Kasya sadhyo vidunoti kalmasham tasmai shubhadra shravashe namo namaha.
Tasmai Namo Namaha.
Yeah. Please read.
Anybody
Let me
reading?
offer.
You
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Mataji.
No, go ahead. I already read.
Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto all auspicious Lord Sri Krishna, about whom the glorification, remembrance, audience, prayers, hearing, and worship can at once cleanse the effect of all sins of the performer.
See this word here, audience. Just by seeing the Lord, one gets purified. This is one reason some devotees, at least for the sake of, they just want to go have the audience of the Lord in the morning, even if they can't stay for the whole Mangalarthi. Just go for, this is the reason all assembled in the Kurukshetra war achieved liberation when they died, because they just had the audience of the Lord. Yeah. So at once cleans the effects of all sins of the performer. Tasmai Shubhatra Shavashe Namo Namaha. So because the Supreme Lord is all auspicious, what happens? Vidhunoti Kalmasham. Kalmasham means all the Vidhunoti means cleansing, and Kalmasham is all kinds of sins will be completely eradicated. Just like when there is sunlight, all kinds of dirt will be dried up, and immediately it's all cleansed, right, with the power of the sunlight. So similarly, Lord's remembrance, Lord's glorification, His simple audience, prayers, hearing, all of these have great effect. And worship, if you perform worship every day. So when we, so all the process of devotion service, Navaveda Bhakti that we perform, has tremendous effect on our like sanchit karma, or the baggage of karma. Every time we go to temple, we offer obeisances. It's not a ritual. It's a process of cleansing. Right? We may not immediately realize it because it's a subtle thing. It's a very, very, very subtle thing, right? We don't realize a lot of gross things in the current age and time, but this is a very, very subtle thing. So we don't realize. But every time we are being transformed when we get into the temple versus when we get out. We are very different, because Lord is all transcendental, right? And the more we are absorbed, the more we are right, in the proper Krishna consciousness, the more we get cleansed. Yeah. Prabhu, please continue.
The sublime form of the religious performance to free oneself from all reactions of the sins is suggested herein by the greatest authority, Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Kirtanam, or glorifying the Lord, can be performed in very, very many ways, such as remembering, visiting temples to see the deity, offering prayers in front of the Lord, and hearing recitation of glorification of the Lord mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. Kirtanam can be performed both by singing and singing the glories of the Lord in accompaniment with a melodious music and by recitation of the scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. The devotees need not be disappointed in the physical absence of the Lord, though they may think of not being associated with him. The devotional process of chanting, hearing, remembering, etc., either all or some of them, or even one of them, can give us the desired results of associating with the Lord by discharging the transcendental loving service of the Lord in the above manner.
Yeah. So we can understand, even though Lord is not physically before us, right? We achieve the same result by engaging in these processes. The devotion process of chanting, hearing, remembering can give us the desired result of associating with the Lord by discharging. So we just need to have loving attitude towards the Lord when we perform this devotion service. Then we get the same result, right? So when we hear Bhagavatam, we can immediately see our consciousness being different. When you read, you're all reading every time we come to the class, we all read the purport. That immediately transforms our consciousness. Please, Prabhu.
Similarly, remembrance and the prayer also can give us desired results if they are properly done under the expert guidance. One should not count form or devotional service. One may worship the form of the Lord in temple, or one may impersonally offer the Lord's devotional prayer in a mosque or church. One is sure to get free from the reaction of the sins, provided one is very careful about not committing sins willingly in expectations of getting free from the reactions of the worshipping in the temple or by offering prayers in the church. This mentality of committing sins willfully on the strength of the devotional service is called Namno Balad Yashahi Papadi. And it is the greatest offense in the discharge of the devotional service.
The seventh offense, committing sinful committing sinful actions on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. So one should be careful. We all understand the chanting of the holy name is all powerful and can eradicate the sins committed for millions of lifetimes. But knowing that the holy name is all powerful, one should not engage in sinful activities. That if one thinks that and performs sinful activities, thinking that, oh, I can get away from the sins because I take to this process of chanting, that is a great offense and it won't work if you think like that and act, right? So that is a great offense. One should never think or use holy name to eradicate one's sins. In one of the lecture, I remember Prabhupada says, so the Christians, they perform all through their week various sinful activities, and end of the week on Sunday they come for the Sunday feast and pray to the Lord to absolve of all the sins, right? So we are, so this is like, they actually speak about their sins, and that way they believe that their sins will be eradicated. But actually, that is an offense, as we can hear from this, right? So their idea is, okay, by speaking the sinful activities we performed, we will be absolved of the sinful activities we did, right? But it doesn't work like that. We should not use Lord as a means to our ends, right? Like we want. So this is incorrect uses of like or abuse of spiritual practice, or you can say karma kandi, right? It's a karma kanda is also business, approaching the Lord in the spirit of business, like you'll never please Lord. Why you'll never please Lord? By approaching with a business spirit. Anybody? Or you can speak about a general example, right? If somebody comes to you offering something, but he has some agenda, would you ever naturally love such a person?
No, but it's if you
No.
are approaching Lord with some kind of thing in the mind, it's like transactional devotion.
Yeah. Even we don't in our personal life, if somebody, as soon as we know, oh, this guy came because he wants this from me, right? And he's vocal about it, for example. Will you ever love him as one of your inner circle?
No.
Never, because now the same with the Lord. I mean, if you go now, look at all the temples in India. 99% of them perform rituals to fulfill so and so desires of the conditions, right? Imagine, like, how will they ever please the Lord? They are there just for business. So should never approach the Lord in that spirit.
But the magnanimity of Lord is he will still make it happen for such people also. But maybe they will not be coming closer to the Lord.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, even if a devotee has material desires, it is recommended to go to only Lord and express vocally that, "Oh Lord, I should ideally not have any desire." One is to be intentional about it. The second is being a little bit guilty about it, right? That is somewhat okay. But just going to the Lord only for fulfilling your material desires, that is like completely karma buddhi, right? That is not good. Vichakshanaya Paranopasadhanat
Vichakshanaaya
Sangam Yudasyo Bhayatontaratmana
Sangam
Mana
Indanti hi Brahma Gatim Gataklamas
Vidanti
Tasmai Shubhadra Shravashe Namo Namaha.
Tasmai Subhadra Shravase Namo Namaha.
Namaha.
Both the verses are ending like this, is it, Prabhuji? Like the previous one also?
Yeah. Namo Namaha. Yeah. Tasmai Shubhadra Namo Namaha. Yeah. Yeah. Both are ending in the same. Yeah. In the same meaning. So these are prayers. That's why.
Uh,
So, my due obeisances to all auspicious Supreme Lord. That's what the last line means.
Let me
So-
offer my
Yeah. Go ahead, Rani Mataji.
let me offer my respective obeisances again and again unto the all auspicious Lord Sri Krishna, the highly intellectual, simply by surrendering unto his lotus feet, are relieved of all attachments to present and future existences, and without difficulty progress toward spiritual existence.
The highly intellectual, simply by surrendering unto his lotus feet, the jnanis, right, are relieved of all attachments to present and future existences, and without any difficulty progress towards spiritual existence. Yeah, please read this part.
Persons who are intelligent take serious notice of this last instruction of the Lord. Knowledge of the self is the first step in the spiritual realization, which is called confidential knowledge, and a step further is called realization, which is called more confidential knowledge. The culmination of the
Knowledge.
culmination of the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is called realization, and when one attains the stage of God realization, he naturally, voluntarily become a devotee of the God to surrender him loving transcendental service.
So this is Sarvadharman Parichajya Mamekam Saranam Vraja. Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishyami Masuchaha. If you simply surrender unto me completely, I promise to relieve you of all the sinful actions. If one can develop that kind of surrender, Lord will notice and give him complete relief from all sinful reactions. So that knowledge of the self is the first step, right? The first step in spiritual relation is knowledge of the self, right? Which is given in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita and further continued in third and fourth transcendental knowledge. And then God realization, which is chapter 7 to 12, given in Bhagavad Gita, God realization. So one should not stop with just understanding that I am not this body, I am a spirit soul. One should also understand the relation with God. What happens if one only understands only about one's own existence as the soul, what happens? What can he achieve at most? If I understand I am a soul, not this body, aham brahmasmi, right? That's what that means. So what is the highest thing I can achieve as a jiva?
Brahman realization.
Brahman realization, good. So why he cannot achieve God realization? Because he doesn't know that there is the Lord, correct?
Right.
So naturally, because he doesn't, his understanding has not spread to the, or is not covered, doesn't cover God realization. He cannot develop relationship with the Lord. So when there is no relationship with the Lord, there is no service to the Lord or loving service to the Lord. So he cannot achieve love for the Lord, right? So God realization is integral part of complete transcendental, perfection. Can we achieve God realization without understanding oneself fully? Self as the soul.
No.
It's a prerequisite.
Yeah.
So that is called sahajiya. If one thinks that he can develop love for God without knowing who they are, that's called sahajiya. Sahajiya, or the people who think that they can develop, they can go to God without a guru in between, right?
They are
Yeah.
artificially acting.
Artificially acting, yeah. They think they can develop loving relation or direct relation with God without a guru in between.
This is exactly Radheshyam Prabhu mentioned on the Friday morning lecture. Yes.
Yeah. Then they get punished, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Sugriva, right? Sugriva got punished
Yes.
first time because he didn't go through Lakshman. He didn't
That's
trust
what
him.
it is.
Next, when Lakshman gave the garland,
That's when that connection established.
action is established and Wali was killed. I hope everyone remembers that.
Yes.
Tapasvino dana paro vashashvino
Yasasvino
manasvino mantravada sumangala kshemam na vindanti vinayad arpanam
Shemam
tasmai shubhadra namo namaha.
Tasmai Subhadrashvili Namo Namah.
Yeah, Sujima.
Yes. Yeah, Allah. So let me offer. Okay. It's okay. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all auspicious Lord Sri Krishna again and again, because the great learned sages, the great performers of charity, the great workers of distinction, the philosophers and the mystics, the great chanters of Vedic hymns, and the great followers of Vedic principles cannot achieve any fruitful result without dedication of such great qualities to the service of the Lord.
Yeah.
Advanced, yeah, you go ahead.
So see, all these are mentioned here. Because the great learned sages, the great performers of charity, great workers of distinction, great philosophers and mystics, the great chanters of Vedic hymns, great followers of Vedic, cannot achieve any fruitful result without dedication of such great qualities to the service of the Lord. So unless those qualities are offered for the pleasure of the Lord, nobody actually achieves anything. That's what this means. So anything achieved is because of satisfying Lord. Otherwise, it is just meaningless effort. If somebody is a highly charitable man, but he does not have any connection with the Lord, it does not accrue any good result, right? So it's like that. Yeah, please read.
Advancement of learning, a charitable disposition, political, social, or religious leadership of human society, philosophical speculations, the practice of yoga system, expertise in Vedic rituals, and all similar high qualities in man serve one in attainment of perfection only when they are employed in the service of the Lord. Without such dovetailing, all such qualities become source of trouble for people in general. Everything can be utilized either for one's own sense and gratification or in the service of one other than oneself.
We should engage everything in the service of the Lord, because why should we dovetail everything in the service of the Lord? If you have some, something to, like some money that you can give to others, why should that be engaged in the service of the Lord? Because Lord is the supreme proprietor of everything, right? So that is the right utility of everything that exists in your position. So if one does not recognize, it means that he thinks that I am the owner of it, right? That's why he's not willing to utilize everything in the service of the Lord. Because of that, when Lord is the true proprietor, if you believe that you are the proprietor, then you are actually a thief. Because originally everything belongs to Lord. So that will only lead one to sinful reactions for what he performs, right? If you think you are the charitable man and give, you will incur sinful activities, because that is a false ego. You are thinking yourself being the proprietor and or the real donor, while you are not. You are only a trustee for everything in your position, right? So one who always considers like that, like a trustee or a steward for everything that in his position, his actions will not incur any sinful reactions, because he is acting acting in the spirit of service to the Lord. So that is very important, so that one does not incur sinful reactions.
So, Prabhu, I have a question. So, in the translation, it says that the great chanters of Vedic hymns and great followers of Vedic principles cannot achieve any fruitful results without dedication of such great qualities to the service of the Lord. Now, the great chanters of Vedic hymns, does the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, do we even categorize as a Vedic hymns, or it's beyond Vedic hymns?
It it is great Mahamantra, but what he means, what Sukadeva Goswami here means, the worship of various demigods, or worship of various forms of the Lord. If they are not done, they can do all of this, but they are not done in dedication to the Lord, right? So that's when the problem comes.
Okay, so these Vedic hymns are more towards demigod, not towards Krishna.
Yeah, that's what I understood. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So they have to be dedicated to the Supreme Lord, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Then that's a devotional service. Like chanting is a
That's
devotional
why
service.
even demigod worship or any puja that you perform, at the end of it, they say Sarvam Krishna Arpanamastu, which means offering
Yes,
everything for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord.
correct.
Whatever you do, right? So if you
Yeah.
don't do that, then right, you are bribing your minister. So all the other demigods are like, bureaucrats, or they are like political, can call ministers in the
Mhm.
in the government, right?
Yeah.
Supreme Lord. So if you only focus on them, not on the Supreme Lord or the Prime Minister or the Chief Minister, then you are basically trying to bribe them, right, to achieve your results.
Yes, bro.
Each bribe has its own, punishment.
Yes, bro.
We'll end here. There is another very nice verse, Kirat Hona, the very famous verse also, right?
Mhm.
Everybody, even the lowest people, get relieved of all sinful actions just by the Supreme Lords, all powerful.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll read this next week. Thank you all very much for joining today.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for a wonderful class.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.